everyone! So in addition to my brand research, I really wanted to start talking about some notable beauty products as well. I feel like there are some products and some lines that have really left quite an impression on the beauty industry as a whole, and they deserve to be talked about. I've referenced Chanel's nail polish Rouge Noir, also known as Vamp, so many times in previous videos. Its creation, its success and popularity directly led to brands like Urban Decay and Hard Candy. And it really just changed the nail polish industry as a whole. So what's the story? Well, Rouge Noir Vamp has its own Wikipedia page. It's very rare that a beauty product, like an individual standalone beauty product, has a Wikipedia page, let alone a nail polish. So let's look at the Wikipedia entry. Vamp was created in 1994 by Dominique Moncourtois, Chanel's director of makeup creation. Moncourtois was inspired by Karl Lagerfeld, who asked him for a dark polish that would show up in the black and white photos that Lagerfeld was making to introduce his 1995 Spring-Summer Chanel ready-to-wear collection. Moncourtois didn't have such a color, but he improvised with ordinary red polish covered with black marker ink and a clear top coat. So Dominique joined Chanel in the late 60s after being hired by Gabrielle Coco Chanel herself. He had spent some time as a professor of makeup at the Film and Theatre Academy. He became the international director of makeup and eventually hired Heidi Morowitz as the director of the makeup creation studio. The duo became well known for their innovation with Chanel Beauty. According to Telegraph, in 2004, the Gothic Rouge Noir nail polish, first seen at the Chanel Autumn-Winter 1994 ready-to-wear show, Dominique said, "For the advertising campaign shot by Karl Lagerfeld, Heidi and I actually painted the model's nails with a black marker pen and a clear glossy top coat. For the show, Heidi mixed red and black nail polish." So I went digging for the advertising campaigns, and I dug up the autumn-winter campaigns, what I could find that was freely available, and I also looked up the spring-summer ready-to-wear ads. They were all in color, and the models didn't appear to have dark nail polish in any of the ads. However, I did stumble across a black and white image for Chanel No. 5, the perfume, from 1994, and I could maybe be convinced that the nails were marker. Also, I read the article that is cited in the Wikipedia entry, and the whole bit about layering black marker on top of red polish to create the shade wasn't even in the article. The exact quote from the Straits Times: "Karl Lagerfeld decided that the model's nails should be painted in a dark color to stand out in the black and white shots. Since there was no dark nail polish handy, Mr. Moncourtois reached for the next best thing. He had the model's nails colored with a black felt tip marker along with a top coat of clear varnish to give it shine." That article was not easy to get my hands on in the first place, and I really wanted to read it to see how it related to the Wikipedia article. It just also goes to show, I'm sure most people know this, but like definitely check sources. Something on Wikipedia doesn't mean that it's true. But I wanted to do a little science experiment, so I decided that I would paint my nails with black marker, with red polish, and then black marker on top of red polish and see what happened. So enjoy. Let's look at black marker on my nails in color, and then what it looks like in black and white. Red polish in color, and I chose a color that is very similar to Chanel red because I don't actually have a Chanel nail polish, but I used a color that's very similar from another designer brand, and this is what the red looks like in black and white. And finally, I put black marker on top of the red polish. It really didn't work very well, but here it is in color and also in black and white. Thoughts? So that sort of covers myth number 1. Myth number 2 is that the polish was created in a rush 2 days before the runway show. But which runway show? The polish appears to be on the nails of models for the 94-95 Autumn-Winter Ready-to-Wear show, which took place in March of 1994. The Spring-Summer Ready-to-Wear show had a similar polish, although the Spring-Summer show does appear darker. This show took place in October of 1994. Dominique is quoted as saying to Life magazine, "From the minute the models were sent down the runway, I remember everyone, including CNN, going wow over this black nail polish. The very next day, Madonna called our office in Paris asking where she could find it, but it didn't even exist, only for the show." Heidi Morowitz was interviewed in 2011 for Interview magazine by her and Dominique's replacement at Chanel, Peter Phillips. So I want to read a little segment from this interview where it talks about the creation of the polish. Heidi said, "I had seen a photograph in black and white, and in black and white, eyes and nails turned black. I thought maybe we should do something for the nails like that. And we did this black Rouge Noir in our kitchen, Dominique and myself. Don't ask me how the quality was." Peter said, "You were mixing pigments?" Heidi said, "Yes, we did our pigments ourselves, and very often we did the mixing ourselves. The manicurist said, 'What is this terrible quality that you're giving me here?' But we had to do it fast, in 2 days before the show. And then in the lab, they made it nice, of course, but the journalists saw it in the show and they thought it was incredible. What's this color? The Americans did it right away because they could just put it on the counter. So it came out in America before it did here in Paris." Peter, under the name Vamp. Heidi, "Yeah, it was already registered as Rouge Noir, but since they did it before us at the last moment, they called it Vamp. We never thought it would be such a success." No, Rouge Noir was never trademarked. Not in the US and not in France. I'm going to touch a little bit on this later, but I want to go to myth number 3, which is that Uma Thurman wore the polish in Pulp Fiction. The style of Pulp Fiction, and Uma Thurman in particular, resonated with fashion and had a lasting effect. The short, dark nails are an iconic statement of the character. But it's unlikely the Chanel polish was the polish used. Filming for Pulp Fiction took place toward the end of 1993, with the film debuting at the Cannes Film Festival in May of 1994. The Chanel Autumn Runway show, for example, took place only 2 months before the Cannes Film Festival. If the polish was first created for the runway, it is impossible. And certainly for the spring-summer show, as that show hadn't even happened yet. The only possible option here is that the polish was actually created earlier in 1993 and was used by whoever was doing Uma Thurman's makeup on set. This does not appear to be true, and no one involved with the film has ever confirmed or denied what polish was used. The New York Times obituary for Heidi also casts some doubt on the polish having been used in Pulp Fiction, rather describing it as a fortunate coincidence, and the Pulp Fiction shade had been made specific to the film. Rumors have floated around that it was a MAC nail polish, as MAC products were allegedly some of the makeup used on set, but again, just a rumor. Pulp Fiction is so closely tied to the myth of this iconic nail polish. That film was released in October 1994, so a possible theory is that the public was so taken with this shade that beauty editors compared it to Chanel's Vamp. I found advertisements for Chanel's fall beauty lineup, which included a polish called Vamp, dating to August 1994. This was also the old polish formula, and this is likely the shade that appeared on the runway in March for the autumn-winter show. The final push for the shade was the spring-summer ready-to-wear show that directly followed the national release of Pulp Fiction. According to timestamps on Getty Images, the Chanel show took place on October 17th. Pulp Fiction was released days before, on the 14th. I've been showing images of the polish from different sources, some actual video clips, and some photos, and I'm going to show some images of both runway shades as well as Uma Thurman's Pulp Fiction shade, and Madonna's Take a Bow, and Chanel's own advertising, and I'd really like to know what you think. In the Miami Herald, April 1995, the director of marketing for Chanel, Annette Falso, said, "We mixed a black with a dark red to get this color. The fashion editors just went crazy, so we decided to launch it. It has taken off unbelievably. I guess people were just ready for something different." So by all accounts, Karl Lagerfeld really wanted a dark polish for the runway. Something darker than the usual Chanel red, but also not black. I personally believe that there was some discussion about creating a shade that Coco Chanel really loved. As Coco Chanel explained to Vogue in 1926, the designer adored a shade described as a garnet hue, like the interior of a black cherry, which Chanel used a lot and which is often called red black. And why did she have this attachment to this shade? Well, it's alleged that that was the color of her orphanage uniform, and then she started using the same shade in the lining of her quilted bags. It would make sense to create a polish in this color as a tribute to the brand's namesake, and Chanel's own website mentions this in regards to the history of Rouge Noir. But origins aside, why was it so successful? In the early 90s, nails were limited to simple shades or styles. Nude, pink, red, or a French manicure. At least that's what was popular, easily accessible, and acceptable. The San Francisco Examiner in late 1994 said, "The vamp is back. Red lips and fingertips are just the ticket after all this spring and summer's pale, pale sheerness. The rage on the Chanel runway, the blue-red nail, is called Vamp, and it's the chicest, nastiest nail since Morticia Adams, and it will take some getting used to." Bottles of the polish were incredibly difficult to come by. It took so long to manufacture enough bottles to meet needs. There were waiting lists upon waiting lists. And when stores did receive shipments, they didn't receive much. "It's the hottest thing going. We just got a shipment, but I guarantee it'll be gone in a couple of days," said a manager at a Chanel boutique in Florida at the time. It's possible it could have been a stroke of marketing genius, as we've seen time and time again, how powerful supply and demand can be and the illusion of exclusivity. But if the story is true about the polish being created within days of the runway show, it makes sense they were unable to produce the quantities people were looking for. No nail polish had ever sold like Rouge Noir Vamp did, so it's not like they could have anticipated the rush either. And perhaps they also needed to adjust the shade so it looked more like the runway color. Notably now, there are two versions, both numbered 18, one called Rouge Noir. Formerly, this name was sold outside of the US, and Vamp. They look similar, but they are different shades. Chanel was known as a prestigious fashion house, so darker, vampier colors were fashion. Even in articles about the trend, it was strongly noted that Vamp, or Rouge Noir, was not simply a goth color, but an acceptable difference from standard pinks and reds. And it was highly endorsed by beauty and fashion editors of all kinds. All the trendsetters backed this hot color. Madonna wore it in the Take a Bow music video, as previously mentioned, Tori Spelling on 90210, Nicole Kidman at the premiere for Interview with a Vampire, and while promoting Batman Forever. Demi Moore allegedly bought testers because she was so desperate for the shade. Scandalous. Celebrities would be caught calling in favors to get their nails painted in the hottest color. Talking about celebrities and talking about this nail polish was like a hot topic of 1995. Vamp was also notable for all of the dupes. Brands wanted their own answer to the popular shade, especially because it was always out of stock. Editors were recommending alternative shades, which was unusual at this time. We're used to dupes being mentioned all of the time now, and people are always looking for alternatives for products that are more affordable or fit a need, like being cruelty-free or lacking a specific ingredient. But this wasn't common then. The customer demand was so high, though, that beauty editors had to do whatever they could to satisfy this trend craving, even if it was making a suggestion that would do, until the real deal was back in stock. Brands were also born directly from this unusual for the times color, Urban Decay being one, Hard Candy being another. Both launched unusual polishes that appealed to people looking for more and looking for life beyond Vamp. Rouge Noir Vamp proved that nail polish could be popular and was worth more than being an afterthought as it often was before. Previously, nail polish was rarely advertised, specifically by larger brands. Chanel made nails a fashion accessory, and it appealed to people everywhere, and it didn't matter what season it was or what the person's personal style was. The deep shade was loved by rebellious teenagers and their moms. We thought the demand for it would cool off a bit during the summer months, but its popularity is still holding on. We can hardly keep it, a Chanel makeup artist was quoted as saying in June of 1995. People really were looking for something different, and the past is known to repeat itself when it comes to trends. There was a renewed focus on femme fatales or vamps, and that style was returning in fashion and makeup. Darker lips and lined eyes, even vampires were trendy. According to most sources, the polish was referred to as being vampy, with references to gothic characters by most media sources, particularly fashion magazines. Vamp was also trademarked, as I mentioned earlier. The first use date for Vamp is listed as July 1995, which doesn't match other dates, but it's not far off. Rouge Noir, to no surprise, is still not trademarked. As in The Province, a publication from British Columbia in 1995, Chanel's newest nail enamel, Rouge Noir, known as the Vamp, embodies some delightful contradictions. It's a dark black-red color usually associated with women that mothers warn their sons about. Yet the Vamp is produced by a classy, high-fashion house and costs a ladylike $17. Rouge Noir Vamp was one of the 10 best products of the year, according to Time magazine in 1995, and Us magazine referred to Vamp as one of the biggest stories of the year. It is largely considered to be Chanel's best-selling nail polish shade ever. And in 1996, Chanel launched a few more products within the same family: Rouge Très Noir, Very Vamp, a deep brown polish, Rouge Ardent, Metallic Vamp, a deep purple with iridescent silver, and later, in 1997, there was even a Rouge Noir mascara. As quickly as Rouge Noir Vamp rose to the top seller list, it became oversaturated and it became mainstream. It wasn't a cool, rebellious act to wear the darker color, but rather a mark of conformity and fitting in. By 1997, the shade was largely considered to be over.
We do have to test your coolness factor. You're from LA, so you can skip the written, but let's see. Vamp nail polish? Over? So over.
But for many years, Chanel set the trend for polished colors and changed the beauty industry and the thought of nail polish forever. Odds are, if you're wearing nail polish right now, you are wearing a color or possibly a brand that was influenced by Chanel in one way or another. And that is some of the makeup mythology of Rouge Noir Vamp. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Let me know if you would like to see more videos like this, and if you have any specific products or items that you would like me to talk about, please let me know. All video suggestions, requests, recommendations are very, very much welcomed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.